Islamabad is laid out in modules, as you can see. You can see the squares. Within every unit, right in the middle, is a market. Okay, the city was planned that way. So there's a market in every area. I have pictures of some of these markets to show you in a little bit. But it's pretty nice the way they set it up. The streets do meander. It's kind of, sometimes it's tricky at first when you begin to drive to learn the layout of the streets within each module, each square. But there is a market there, and with everything you need. You know, the mosque is there, food places, supermarkets, everything is within each of those areas. Let me bring up something different here.
Barbara, maybe you want to mention about the roadblocks, which made it difficult.
The roadblocks?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, Jeff, here's a wider view. Here's where I lived. I lived right here, right on this street. My house faced this park. Okay, so what Jeff was saying is, it looks like it would be easy to drive around Islamabad because it's so square and laid out, and that would be true, except for the fact that there are many streets that are just blocked off for security reasons of one sort or another. To go, this is the main road. This is called Jinnah Avenue, named after the founder of Pakistan. So to come down here, there are two places that there are security blocks where you have to drive a serpentine through the blockades. Okay, we all had driver training, by the way, before we were sent there, so we could easily get through those. We would drive around orange cones very fast like this. Okay, so it was kind of interesting. But that's what you have to do. You have to drive around those 2 times coming in here. And then certain intersections were set up where you couldn't just go straight through the intersection. You had to go around this way and around the security blockade because the Pakistani drivers do not obey traffic laws. Okay? So just imagine you're driving along and you see that you have a green light. You can't assume that the people coming this way are going to stop at that red light. Okay, so it's quite an adventure. Okay, it's quite an adventure. So because of that, they have these security blockades around. It's a very interesting place to live. But this, you can see a nice, this is pretty much all of Islamabad. There's a lake right here, which is very pretty, except in Pakistan, again, it's not a developed nation. So unfortunately, it's not tourist ready, if you will. You know, there's a lot of dirt. The water is quite dirty, actually. And in the summer, it smells. It's just very bad. It's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. But the lake is there. The diplomatic enclave is right here, and these are all the sectors of the city. And most of us were scattered about. The embassy rents houses from people there in Pakistan. They don't own any of them there. They rent them, and then they put us into those homes. The landlords of the houses in which we live, they have to agree to let the embassy do some security changes to the houses. And I'll show you that. Barbed wire, bars on the windows, various things, security systems. There's a lot of changes that the landlord has to agree to in order to have a lease with the U.S. government for us. And we were scattered about. And we were limited in how many we would go at each sector, because if there was a bomb that blew up, they want to limit their liability and how many of us they would lose. Okay, so there were a certain number per each city block. But you can see in the middle here, these are the markets. You can see these areas that are little squares. These are the markets here. Certain areas of the city we were not allowed to go to at all. The RSO, the Regional Security Officer, would send out first an overview of where you can and cannot go, and then when he or she would hear about different things in the city, different demonstrations, they would say there'll be a demonstration on such and such a corner, avoid that area when you go home, and that kind of thing. We would get we all were issued cell phones, and we would get text messages of where to avoid whenever things would happen, if there was an explosion or whatever. We would be notified and told not to go there. Yes, sir.
Can you use a GPS system, a Garmin or a TomTom or something over there?
You could. We didn't have them. One of my colleagues had a Garmin, actually.
But it actually works in
town.
Yeah.
It does work, yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, all of this stuff does work. Yes, ma'am?
In the house where you were the only occupant, or were there others from the...
That's a good question. That's a good segue. I'll actually show you pictures. Yes, I was the only occupant in my house. The way things are working there now, there is a movement to expand the embassy, because we were really understaffed. We do need more people there. So now people are beginning, there's talk about sharing houses. Okay, it hasn't happened just quite yet, but I think people coming in the next 6 months, there'll be some house sharing happening. All right, but let me show you pictures of my house. It's a good segue. Okay. All right. All right, my apologies. Excuse me. All right, this is my house. Get the slideshow started here. This is my house, the driveway. There's a door here, which I didn't use. This is the main entrance to the house right there. And that's the side. And you can see my balcony up there. That's the little yard. We all had gardeners that we paid very low prices to. They took care of it. There's going down the side of the house. That's coming in the entryway. The kitchen is in the far corner, dining room off to the left. There's the dining room. They're quite large. The houses are very, very large. That's the downstairs living room. This is the kitchen with a gas range. There's a refrigerator and a freezer. The water, you cannot drink the water there safely. That's the water distiller in every American's house. Is another part of the kitchen. That's the upstairs. It's actually they're built for entertaining. That's really what they're built for. That's the bedroom. It's also called the safe haven room. You can see outside into the hallway there. That is, I want to talk about that. This is the door. Let me just stop that just for a second right there. That is the door of what they call the safe haven room. In every house that they rent for American Embassy employees, American agency employees, they turn one bedroom, the one farthest away from the door, if possible, into what they call the safe haven bedroom. And they want you to sleep in that bedroom. They have an iron door that is pretty thick and has 2 huge bolts on it. So at night you're to bolt yourself in. Inside the safe haven room is a box filled with emergency supplies, water and some MREs, I guess some food in there and various things. We have a radio in addition to our cell phone that we needed to do call into every Sunday to make sure the radio worked. So that in case they took down, first thing that might happen, in case of an attack, they take down the cell phone tower. So the cell phone would be out of commission. So they wanted us to have radios in case we needed to call in. So we had that in the safe haven room and so forth. Okay, so that's where we would sleep. Let me go back to the slideshow. All right, so that's the safe haven bedroom. That's the upstairs living room. That's where I spent most of my time. It was pretty cozy up there. I had my computer on, this computer was on that desk, and that's where I would tend to work. This is from my balcony. And you can see there's the park across. You can see the barbed wire. You'll see the barbed wire here. And this is the beautiful, beautiful flowers. They really do love their flowers and vegetation. That's looking out at the park. And that's looking out, there's the guard. We had 24-hour guards. There's my on-duty guard and my off-duty guard. Okay, very nice guys. They're very, very, very nice guys. And that's, again, you can just see another view. There's a security gate. Notice the gate there? The guards monitored everybody who would come in. You couldn't get through there unless the guard knew that it was okay to let you through. All right. There's Jeff. He visited me in his mama barn on the porch. Now this is not my house. These are some other houses around the city. I thought you might be interested in seeing some of the luxurious homes. Islamabad is a city of the elite. Let me stop right there because that's something else. Islamabad is the capital city. It's not true Pakistan. Okay, this is not truly Pakistan. This is, let me just escape here for a second. It's where seats of government live. You know, the Pakistani politicians and government, as well as people, the Westerners, everybody who has a presence in Islamabad, every country, many countries are there. So there are folks all live throughout the city. Business executives live there. It's the city of the elite. It truly is. So it is not true Pakistan. I'll show you pictures of true Pakistan after this. This is where where we live. We lived a pretty nice life. So it was a hardship post, but in many ways it was quite nice. It was very quite nice. This is a village in Pakistan. I'll show you this on the map. It's called Saidpur village. It's really a village of true Pakistanis. The government is turning it into a tourist attraction to show people what life in Pakistan is like. It's a really nice community. Jeff and I went there when he visited me in Islamabad. And you can see you can just see the houses. It's built on a hillside. This is very near where that plane crashed, by the way. So those of you that follow the news know there was a plane crash in Islamabad several weeks ago. It's not too far from here, actually. But here's these are the villages. You can see that you can see a little bit of the homes down there. This is taken from the hilltop. We walked up to the top of the hill. And you can see there's the mosque, the local mosque. There are mosques everywhere. You can see that some clothes hanging up in there in the background, and some people on their rooftops. And again, you can just get some idea of how people live in the little communities. This is a nice area. This is one of my Pakistani friends, Uzma. She lives here, so this was her community. It's a very nice, again, you have various levels of socioeconomic people, just as you do in every country. And the people who work for us at the embassy they're pretty much middle class. They were educated people. Excuse me for 1 second. Dry mouth. Yeah, they were very educated people, and somewhat fairly well-to-do. They live a pretty nice life. You know, working for the embassy is one of the desirable positions. Not just us, for all of the embassies and the high commissions within Islamabad. So she lived here. They're taking that from her house. All right? Yeah, again, that's my house. Okay, and so let me tell you a little bit more about what it's like to live there. It looks deceiving. It's a very nice house. They're huge. But the reality of life there is that the electricity goes off often. There are planned power blackouts because the power source is hydroelectric, and the water levels come and go. It's not very consistent. The government has not invested a lot into the infrastructure, unfortunately, so the power goes off. For people in the poorer areas who can't afford to pay for better sources of power, they're without power 7-8 hours a day. All right, so imagine in the heat, it's 115 degrees. Imagine if your air conditioner's off for 8 hours. Okay, it's very difficult living. The water is dirty. They do have water towers throughout the country, but because it costs money to keep them clean, they don't clean them, so they're just as contaminated as everything else. All right, so the water is very dirty. Like I said, we had distillers in our house. The U.S. government does take care of its employees. They can't afford to have people dying on them overseas. So they do have distillers in all of our homes that they serviced every 3 months. But and I do believe all the other embassies as well. I mean, you know, if you work for an embassy, you were taken care of. But the people themselves are not. The employees of our embassy were permitted to take water home with them. On the compound, the water was all purified. It was safe to drink. So the employees, one of their perks was they could take water. They would bring in jugs, and they would take water home as the need arose. So Uzma, I often saw her lugging home like 10 big jugs of water for her and her family. Let's see what else. Bugs. There are cockroaches that are this big. Okay, huge. I didn't like them. Those are my least favorite things. I'm an animal lover, and I like most things. But I just couldn't get into those things at all. I did like my geckos. There are geckos that live. You know, they don't try to sell you insurance either.